Hello, and welcome to this random ass 10-minute podcast test that we will probably not even upload. But we have some spicy mayonnaise for you today. Well, first, let me just add a personality and name to the succulent, juicy voice you're listening to right now. My name is it's kind of hard. It's foreign, I know. It's Hunter.
Wait,
Chewing that
what?
for a while.
What?
But yeah, I know.
I thought I was talking to
So
Eat That
now,
Pussy 445.
dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint. Um,
I gotta go. Then if I can't,
my
I've been
agent hooked me up.
catfished.
I don't know about
I've been
this one.
catfished. That's what's going on. I was promised. I was promised a man, and I got a little boy, which I'm okay with.
promised-
But I'm not in the
I
mood
was
for little boys
promised.
right now.
I was promised a man with a numb left leg, and I'm sorely disappointed.
All I got was a
No,
limp
okay,
little
so-
boy. That's all I got.
Okay, so my name's Hunter, and my
Damn it.
my co-star and lesser human. Take it away, Penny. Cool. All right. Cool.
My name's not Penny.
What? Just say your name.
I'm Javier Lumbago.
All right. I was waiting. I was thinking like, oh, is my headset malfunctioning? Is Discord screwing up? No, you're just dead silent.
Yeah.
You're just incomprehensible at this point.
I am.
We're almost 4 minutes in. You have to explain who you are.
I am. That's a really good question. Who am I? It's a question I have asked myself multiple
Homunculus,
times.
that's who you
and
are.
You're
A little
you just call
goblin
me?
of a man.
What'd you just Well, whatever. I don't even want to do this anymore.
You haven't even explained who you are.
Good. I'm the mystery man.
That is incorrect. All right.
That is incorrect.
All right.
You should introduce me as your co-star.
All right. This is my boy. His name is Ricardo.
Oh, nope, never mind. I'll do it.
See, you can't give me the reins because I'll just whip you. You know, ooh, that sounded bad. That sounded real bad.
Well, I'm not the right ethnicity for that. So.
Ah, stop!
Oh, this is going pretty great.
You haven't even said your name yet, and you're being racist.
No,
I mean, come on.
I'm not what he said. I'm what she said. No, I'm Rico Miranda, and
We were pulling last names though.
I don't know what I am.
You're a little Mexican boy
Yeah, yeah.
from a poor Mexican family.
No, not poor.
He's just a poor boy from a poor family.
Spare him. His
She's sperm. It's not like you're just like sperm.
All right, so we got some topics we're gonna be talking about.
Yeah, we got
and,
topics. We know what we're doing. We're organized. We're concise. We're
we are
clean.
not
We're
any of those things.
we are a good old-fashioned Christian podcast, and if you don't like that, then I'm sorry, you're going straight down to hell. I mean,
Hunter,
there's no way for you to repent
Hunter,
at this point.
Hunter,
I just want you all to know that.
Hunter.
Anyway.
I thought you said this was a Catholic podcast.
Catholic, bro. What do you like, little boys? What are you talking about?
Cows. You told me there were gonna be little boys here, and that's the only reason I'm doing it.
Oh, okay, first off, you thought this was Eat That Pussy 445. Second off, he promised you little boys.
Lower your voice. They can hear you.
Lower my voice.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's get to topics. Let's get to what we're actually
all right.
here to
You
talk
can
about. Okay.
Kick it off with whatever you brought to the table.
Oh, Okay, well, okay. So here's the thing: is that me and Rico. Let me give you a little backstory here. Me and Rico.
He abandoned me.
We go. I abandoned him. I did. We used to live up in in Meshogan for a little while.
Meshogan. And for those of you who don't know, that's in the USA. And the northern part of USA.
Yeah, America. And
well, America too. Howdy, partner.
Hanging out by all those moosefukers, all the moosefukers, eh? And we would hang out there. We lived there all our lives.
And then Hunter got hit by a car one day. A year ago,
almost a year ago now. Just pretty much a year ago, actually. Oh, it's almost. I believe it's literally almost a year ago.
You keep tabs on it?
Yeah, that's weird. It was like early March. It was about that time. But I moved down to good old Texas.
Yeah, boy.
And good old Texas. And so now we have to record our podcast over the internet. On the international highway of machine. And now we can't do it face to face, tongue to tongue.
Which is how we usually do it.
Whoa, yeah, of course.
Whoa.
What?
You were keeping that last part to see.
You don't like tongue? You don't like tongue?
We're talking.
Okay. Anyway. To make the long, hard story short.
Schlong.
Me and him both really like media and film and
we really like just talking about how stupid people are.
We really just like talking about how stupid people are. We like talking about how people stupid are, kind of stuff like that.
For example, Hunter.
Hey man. Stop being. Shut up. Anyway, we both are really into film and music and stuff like that. Just normal kind of stuff, normal stuff that just doesn't get you laid in college. Cool. That kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So we have together some film questions that we would ask. I've got 2. He's got about 74.
Oh.
And we're just gonna go through them. It's gonna be a 70-hour podcast. Just really simple.
Bunker down right now, because you're not getting.
Yeah, hunker down. Get some coffee, get a thing of popcorn. Lock that bomb shelter. Valve. Lock it in. Oh man, no man. I was eating spicy wings before this, so if I have to race out of this room, you know why.
If I race out of the room, it's because I either have to rub one off or get coffee. And it's probably both, so.
It's probably, I'm surprised one and the other don't, correlate. I'm spoiled,
It's the cream in my coffee.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember seeing any creamer at your house. I don't remember seeing any of that.
Well, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right, so these questions. All right, so yeah. I have a question here. For Rico, because Rico...
Well, who else? It's only the 2 of us in here.
Right. Some of y'all don't know this about Rico.
Oh no.
He's a film man. He's a director man.
I am.
He makes films.
Adult films.
Don't say that. He makes the moving pictures. He makes the moving cartoons. He knows what he doing. He boot too big for he goddamn feet. All right. So he knows what he's doing for film. He watches quite a bit of motion pictures.
Sorry, I'm still on that adult film.
What? Did you say of the adult variety? I'm sure you do, pal. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about.
The Hub is a welcoming place for everybody.
We're all inclusive on this.
It's my happy place.
So I have a question for my dear old boy. Because he does watch a lot of good movies, or at least what you would consider good movies. A lot of highly rated, critically movies.
I do.
Stuff like that thing. So, and not to brag or anything, but this little man's favorite director is Christopher Nolan.
Oh God.
Anyway, so you know he's not retarded. Anyway, so So my question is this: is that in your opinion, what do you appreciate more about a film when it comes out? Do you appreciate the acting more, or do you more appreciate like the cinematography, or like how more like how it's put together and how it's portrayed?
Well, thank you, Hunter. That's a very good question.
No problem.
No, I'd have to say, probably the writing of it. I appreciate a well thought out written movie. It's I don't know. I mean, I've seen some movies that are just like, did you really write this, or did you give it
Just
to
utter
a
dog shit.
4-year-old who decided that it was a good idea to put unicorns in it that then did leprechauns? It just doesn't make sense. And I appreciate some good writing. And yes, the cinematography, how they film it, the editing, it's I can appreciate that because it's got to be appealing to the eye. And if I'm not seeing what I like, I'm just gonna leave.
Right. Like I told you about that story between me and our friend Ben? How we walked into the Dollar Theater and saw Ride Along 2 featuring Chris Hart and Ice Cube.
Which,
and we were like,
which is
oh,
one of those
stupid
movies that I
fun.
mentioned is like you handed the script to your
Yeah.
4-year-old and said, "Here, honey, write
Right.
something fun."
It was the second that I'd say the minute in the movie that we decided it was utter dog shit was the moment Kevin Hart, who might I add for some context, is a video gamer. He's
What?
one of the most oppressed. He's one of the most oppressed minorities in the world. He's a gamer,
Oh,
and he's
oh my god.
and he's not very cop-like in the whole movie. Ice Cube's the kind of main cop boy, and in the movie, there's a scene where Kevin Hart is in a drive, like he's in a what's the thing? He's in like a getaway, like he's driving away from bad people who are trying to get him, kind of movie shit.
Mhm.
And he plays this racing game early in the movie, so there's a callback. I don't know if you know about this, but it's what we call in the business a callback to the beginning of the movie. When he's driving in the car, his brain, the whole world turns into the video game, and he's in the video game. He's driving, and he's like normal looking Kevin Hart, and he looks over to the right and sees Ice Cube, and I'm not kidding you. Sorry, this dude, he looked at him and he looked like Big Smoke from San Andreas. He looked like Big Smoke, like he was like, "You picked the wrong house, fool!" Level stuff, and and Ice Cube goes, "What? Like, what you looking at?" And we both looked at each other and went, "We're out. This is Audi 5000. We don't like this movie no more. This is it." We busted out laughing and we're like, "This is stupid." Got up and left. We didn't even care. It was $1. We were like, you know what? We're not watching this dog. We're not watching. Okay, there's a certain point to watching a dog chase its tail that just gets boring. Because it never catches it. There's a point where watching someone vomit repeatedly just isn't entertaining anymore. You're desensitized. You're like, "Oh, I've seen them vomit already like 50 times. What's the point?" So it got to that point where we were just numb to it at that point. We were just like, we felt like we got numb, is what it was. We felt like we were sitting there and we're like, they can't throw more stupid shit at us. And then they did. And it's like, it's one of those weird things where I have to respect it. Because it's like,
You had the
it's one of those
audacity
movies-
to put that out there,
right,
and knowing
Right.
it was garbage.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's-
You sat there and knew this was the most brain dead, like Neanderthal like shit you've ever seen in your life, and you threw that bad boy up on the big screen and went, "We're done. We're
it's
done.
a good
We're
day's
nothing
work
else."
today,
Yeah,
fellas.
yeah. Blow the dust off your hands. Go home, kiss your kids goodnight, kind of shit, and then forget about it. But we saw that movie in theaters like a year after it came out. And I kid you not, that's the thing though. It's one of those. I don't even want to say it's so bad it's good because we didn't sit through it. It was bad. We didn't want to watch it. But it's one of those so bad it's memorable. Like it's one of those like you sit down and you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening." It's like watching a train wreck. It's like literally watching a horrible tragedy on your screen, and you're like, "How is this? How is this possible? How is this something I can watch without having like mental scarring?"
You said train wreck, and I immediately pictured that awful movie, The Bye Bye Man, and how that chick just stood right in front of the train and let it plow her. That's
And then the dude goes, "No!" Like the train conductor.
get out of the way.
No! Like, oh my god. That's such a stupid movie.
Let's
Are you
rat on
telling
that
me?
for a while now. Let's. Do
All right,
that.
let's take a break for a second to rat on the
Let's
Bye
go
Man.
over everything.
Let's start from the beginning.
That was
Let's start from the
wrong
beginning.
with the
Okay,
Bye Bye
number
Man.
one. There ain't one fool. There ain't one fool at that production company who went, "The Bye Bye Man? Are you kidding me right now? The Bye Bye Man." That's like saying the dead, the killer man. Like, really? The killer person who's gonna kill you. The stabby stab person. The Bye Bye Man? Really?
Yeah, that was.
Okay, what blew my mind even more about after the Bye Bye Man came out is that that's a real, like, urban legend. That's a real thing that exists. That they didn't come
That's
up
a
with
real
that.
thing.
It's a real thing
Let's-
because
Let's put it this way. It
Like-
got 20% on Rotten Tomato, and 22% of the audience liked it.
you know what?
22% of the
you know,
audience. That means there's 22% of Americans that are retarded, that are not diagnosed yet. And I
I
highly
think
suggest
you know.
that they
I
get
think it should have
diagnosed.
deserved better. I mean, it's such a horrible movie. It's so bad. It has
really is.
one. It has a single star on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone's just giving it like 1 star, 0.5 point. It's horrible. Why? Like, okay. And this is something I hate about movies too. We can get into this maybe on another podcast or something. But there's that, like, I hate when they do this, and I get why they do it. But in the trailer, how they make a trailer so misleading to the point where it's just blatantly lying. Like, there's a scene in the trailer where they're messing with the Ouija board, and the dude looks up and he goes, "The Bye Bye Man," and his voice gets all weird, and his eyes roll back, and they're like blood red, and it's like, ah, and the lights cut out. In the movie, that doesn't happen. He just looks up and says, "The Bye Bye Man," and then the lights go out. His eyes don't mess up. He's not possessed. So it's like, okay, then you just gave me this thing where you told me that people are going to get possessed, and then they just don't. The whole movie isn't about them getting possessed. They just see weird stuff. Like, and the whole, like, and like, okay, like, there's that, like, the whole dynamic with the one girl and the dude that are dating, and then just their friend that hangs out with
Yeah,
them and watches
that's-
them make out.
I don't know.
That's a
what
cuck.
That, was.
That boy's a cuckhole. That, you can't get around that. They have some weird, like, situations where they're going at it, and he's sitting in the recliner, like, full recline back, like, chin in his chest, just sitting there, just, like, going full hog wild to himself. Like, there isn't, like, those characters don't make any sense, and you have another bad thing, like you were saying before, kind of more on point.
The
for
story
what
is
your
all
question
over the
was.
place. It's all
Right, that's what I was
over
gonna
the
get into.
place.
A good movie has good writing. A good movie makes, like, here's the thing, is that a good movie makes you forget that they're characters. They make you think they're real people. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Moonlight.
I haven't.
I mean, like, yeah, it has like, the whole controversial, gay black guys, and it won the Oscar, it stole it from La La Land or whatever.
No, whatever.
But, like,
whatever.
forget the Oscars for a second. But that movie, I sat down and watched it. It's basically, I'll try and tell you about it without spoiling it, but it's because you should really watch it. It's basically just a character study about how a black man grows up in this black environment that doesn't understand gay people. So, and he's gay. He has to come to terms with himself being gay in an area where even he doesn't understand what he is. And it's just weird character study where you're just like, that is such a weird thing. Everyone, like, is dogging on him about it, and obviously they're very standoffish about it, and people, they use it as an insult and stuff like that. And it's not anything, and it's just that character study, and it's interesting. But I'll tell you this right now: the main character, it goes through 3 periods in his life, and I'm telling you what, it almost reminded me of Boyhood in a way, because Boyhood was that movie over 12 years where it was the same people, which is a cool idea. It was a weird, dumb movie. It didn't really work, but it was a cool concept, and I think Moonlight is the better Boyhood in a way of, I believed that they followed this dude around for like 30 years. I believed it because the kid was an amazing actor. the teenage version of him was a fantastic actor. Could like cry on command. It was very like personal. And then the dude, like the man that he grew up to be, I thought they were all the same person. I'm serious. They all looked similar too. They all looked identical. It's like, how did you do? It's so masterful in a way of there's just
right there.
It's perfect casting, and like they had this ability to just like it like I saw a review that someone did, and I can't remember who it was, and I apologize for not remembering, but they straight up said, and it reminded me of, and this is what I believe too, sorta, is it almost seemed, I completely forgot what was going on. God damn it. Anyway, it was just an amazing character study, and that's where writing's perfect. When you forget, like it's so good you forget their acting.
Yeah.
Like it almost has like, because there's a point where it can go back on itself, where there's like it can be good writing or good whatever, but they act so real to the point where it almost is like they don't act at all, and it almost is kind of bad acting. It's kind of strange. But then you have actors who can act good, but they also like add of themselves to the role, which is you have to do to be a good actor. And then you have this like almost like symbiosis of this character and then also them, and they just weave it in together so masterfully. It's like you can't, like, the casting was so perfect and then the writing was so perfect for those exact people. It's like you have to just be such a, like, how anal do you have to be to write a script that's so perfect for that person? You have a great movie. It's like, that is ridiculous. Like, a good actor can take a role and do it good, but a great actor can be given a role. Like, a great actor is given a role and they almost make it look like they're not acting.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so bizarre. Because they're just... Because that's all acting is. It's tricking you. It's making you think... It's pulling the wool over your head and punching you in the face until you forget who they are. Like, that's what blows my mind about, like, stars. Like I've never seen a movie and saw Matthew McConaughey and didn't believe he wasn't Matthew McConaughey. Like... And that's the same reason as, like, you see, like, you get...
It's the voice for Matthew.
It's all right.
But
That's... But that's the thing, is that, like, that's where you get the thing of, in movies where you're like, what would that guy's name? I don't know, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey in that movie, it's like, his character, you just refer to him as Matthew McConaughey because you can't remember, like, Dorback the Barbarian or whatever.
Matthew McConaughey is Matthew McConaughey.
Right, you never forget Matthew McConaughey, but you forget the character he played in that one moment, so you just call him Matthew McConaughey. And that, I don't think, is good writing. Like, if you don't remember that dude's name, like, you're out of the ballpark. It's not a memorable character. Like, if you can't... Like, that's where memorable characters for me... That's where they stand out. Like, I can remember Bruce Wayne for the rest of my life. I can also remember Christian Bale and Ben Affleck and, all that other kind of stuff. It's just that picture of Sad Ben smoking a cigarette.
I pictured him in his car, like, just chowing on that burger. That's how he's feeling right now. They're like, he's Batman away from me. He's just shoving that burger in his face. Like, it's all drooping in his beard. It's like, it's like he's gonna wash his face later, but he's not gonna get all of it out. So there's gonna be some juices in there that's gonna be stuck.
Right, and he takes that one bite, and he's got it wrapped to hell and high water. He takes a single bite and somehow gets sauce on his shirt. He's like, son of a bitch! How did I get sauce on my shirt?
I'm Ben Affleck. I can't.
It's one of those.
It's one of those now because they fired me from Batman.
It's one of those, like, burger eating. It's one of those parts where it's like one of those weird things where you eat a burger and you just forget about it directly after. You're like sitting there with a wrapper in your hand.
I know what I want to talk
about.
I know what I want to talk about now.
Go ahead. I was gonna say we should do one of your questions.
Do they feel the need to sexualize fast food? Have you noticed?
Oh my God, I know, right? That's super weird.
Why do you have to put a chick in a bikini on a Burger King commercial? Like. And, okay, let me rephrase that. I have not seen a Burger King commercial in probably a decade. You know why? Because nobody cares about Burger King anymore. It's Burger King. They were popular in, like, the 90s, 80s. No, not 80s, 90s. That was it. No one cares about Burger King anymore.
You had, like...
I mean, come on.
Right, dude. Here, let's just have a conversation about this. How weird is Burger King's marketing? They have like Hardee's has Kate Upton
Yeah.
Kate
you're
Upton
gonna
in
do
a
it, do
bikini
it
in like she's eaten the most fake burger I've ever seen in my life. It has zero grease, and I know Hardee's is founded on
nothing
grease.
like the burgers they serve.
Right, but then you have
nothing like
Burger
the
King
burgers
coming
they
out of
serve.
left field using a pervy king mascot, like peeking around corners and shoving burgers in kids' faces.
That's the thing. They switched.
It's like
they switched from guys to girls because we saw how Subway ended up, and no one was happy with that. So they were like, you know what? Let's just throw a bunch of women on there because
Did
they're
you
not gonna
hold
do
on? Wait.
anything.
Did you know that? Because okay, here's a little peek at another podcast.
Oh.
Do you watch Your Mom's House, the Tom Segura podcast with
I
his
do.
wife?
I do indeed love that podcast.
Did you see the episode where he talked about how he got an audition to be a second person, like a co-star to Jared?
Oh no.
Yeah. If you guys want to go watch that, go look that up. He did an audition where they were gonna have like Jared was the healthy sub guy, and he was gonna have his brother. And you want to know what the brother's name was? If you guys don't know, Tom Segura is this fat, bearded white man. He's bald, and he's hilarious. But they were gonna have his name be Jerome. First off, red flag right there. Second off, he was gonna be like the unhealthy, like, oh, eat the meatball marinara and have like a bib on and like have it just sauce covered
That's
and
disgusting.
gross. Right. It's like, why would you have that? Like, how does that? Hold on, I have to take my headset off so I don't blow your eardrums out. How does that get people to buy subs? Who buys subs when they're that gross? I don't understand. Who sees that and goes, man, I want a sub. I want to be that gross, disgusting pig. Like, what? I guess their whole thing was that they didn't want to be unhealthy, or they sold them anyway. So what's the point? I don't go to Subway and get a tuna salad sub.
no.
I go there and get a meatball marinara with sun chips and a massive thing of Dr. Pepper, and I hate myself after. But that doesn't mean that I can't go get a healthy sub. I just don't want one because I'm unhealthy.
Oh my god.
Like, okay, we should probably talk about your topics because we are going everywhere. We are.
All right, well, we're about to go crazier from the topics I chose. So
Okay, perfect.
the Bye Bye Man was just something I thought of on the spot.
It's
What I
perfect.
would really, really love to talk about, and I tweeted about it the other day.
Oh yeah. I
Why?
might have known about it.
Why did someone feel the need to all of a sudden, out of the blue, start
Oh.
yeah, talking about
Oh. Do you want to get into
I
this?
really
Okay.
Why?
Okay, so people don't know what he's talking about. He's
I'm
talking
getting
about the
to it.
person
I'm
that
getting
came.
to it. Let me.
Oh, okay.
Who was
okay,
the
okay, take it away.
retard that decided to wait until Michael Jackson died to come out and say, "Oh, that guy beat
No.
me"? Like,
It wasn't even after. No, here's the thing. It wasn't even after he died. It was after they sold his house because he's been dead for so long.
well, I mean, like they just
No
they
one
just
lived in it.
recently
They
came
sold
out with
Neverland
it, but it's just
Ranch.
like, why did you wait that long? You didn't need to wait that long. Like, it's a trend. It's a trend that I'm seeing, and it's making me really angry. It's just.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is that I obviously get the fact that some people don't want to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
That some people are very standoffish. Like I just heard this lady talk about how she was very badly sexually assaulted as a child, like legitimately sexually, like pawned off to her father's friends and shit. And she didn't talk about that shit till she was like 32, and she's 36 now, and she's super open about it. But it's like she didn't know that was a thing with her until she was 32.
It's.
And that happened to her when she was like 10. Like, this is 20 years' time of just denying it, being super out of it. Like, here's the thing is that Michael Jackson was such a star. Like, no one really understands, at least in our age group.
Yeah.
We're about 18. We're 18.
Yeah.
And no one really understands, at least in our age group, how just stupid massive Michael Jackson was. He was the king. He was
of
the
pop.
dude everyone
King
listened
of
to.
pop.
He was the guy. He was the guy that everyone listened to because he made. And here's the thing, too. Here's the thing, is that this is what I never get. Is that Here's the thing, is that another kind of addendum to this, a little pocket, is that it blows my mind how people is immediately when something bad happens. I understand why people do it, but immediately when something happens and something comes out, everyone hates their content. Everyone hates everyone hates Michael Jackson music now. But dude, you're looking at me. You can't look me dead in the eyes and say, "Man in the Mirror" ain't a great song. It's a good song.
It's basically because of this whole documentary coming out, and it's just dumb. It's you're trying to get publicity for
And here's
what
the
happened
thing.
or what didn't happen.
Right, but here's
And-
the
and
thing
you're
is
doing it
that
at the
I'm
most
not
convenient
denying.
time for this. It's just
Right.
It's
I'm
dumb.
not denying anyone. I'm not denying anyone the pleasure of. If I was in a room with Michael Jackson when he was still alive, I'd probably beat the shit out of him because he's a pedophile. He's a horrible man, and he was screwed up from a very young age. Doesn't give him the right, but he was just a very messed up individual. People are he was. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to say he was even chemically castrated as a kid, to keep his high voice. Oh, he's horrible. He was horrible tragedy. Michael Jackson was a horrible tragedy where someone molded someone in their image to be a superstar, and they did it. He became a superstar. He had the Jackson 5. He became massive with the Jackson 5, and then he did a solo career and was even bigger. Billions of copies of
Yes.
CDs. Like, I'm talking massive dude all over the world. And then it comes out after he dies, yeah, no, we found massive loads of child porn in his place. And it's like, you can't be on that level of just like insane human outcast, mental wise. Like, you can't. No one in his world, like, no one, like you and me will never meet someone that's like that out there in the space of the human race. Like, he was a massive dude. Everyone knew him.
Yeah.
He made his name for himself. So then, that's kind of the same thing. Is that like, I hate to bring it up because we are trying to focus on one guy, but Harvey Weinstein, obviously it gets kind of old now. Everyone blames, oh, Harvey did this, Harvey did that. Harvey looked at me wrong at a club in 2003 and I cried about it for hours. There are things like that, but he is a horrible person. He has the fact that he can't be sued for sexual assault in his contract. So he did really bad stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is that you can't tell me that every single person that he interacted with didn't know. You can't tell me that Brad Pitt didn't know. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing is that I watch the Joe Rogan podcast sometimes. And Joey Diaz, hilarious comedian, funniest dude ever, right, cracks me up every single time. He brought up a really good point that I never really even thought about, is that, like, you and your bunch of pals get together, and you're like, oh man, this weekend, ooh, I had a fat 8 at this bar, stuff like that, you go into the details. She took her dress off, suka la mink, everything. You get into everything. So you're telling me that this guy, this old sludge man, didn't get together with every single one of his friends, Brad Pitt, Ben Affleck, all of them.
There's Benny again.
He didn't get
There you
with
go,
them and go,
Benny.
I'm telling you, he was best friends with him. You're telling me that he didn't get right up with him, and he didn't be like, hey man, you want to hear what this lady did? She's a freak. It's like, they did that. They knew.
It's
So when
an
they come out and
actual
say, oh, I
guy
didn't know
code
anything.
to talk about it.
Every guy, and it's like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And here's the thing, I'm not saying they were like they weren't like in the room with him, like, going to town on some lady.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that maybe they, he told them, oh, because here's the thing is that, guys, they stretch the truth. So he might be saying, oh, she was, he goes into the whole business about how, oh, she loved it, this, that, and the other thing. But, maybe they just heard that part. Maybe they just think he's a horn dog. Maybe they just think everyone go crazy for him. They don't understand it. But, like, so there are people who are really close to him, who know he's abusing women, and then they just because that's the thing is that, and then here's the thing too is that, like, oh, people were like, oh my god, why didn't you just come out back in like 2005? Harvey Weinstein was a god back in 2005. No one touched him because he was a
touched
god.
people,
He
but they didn't
ran
touch him.
an entire company. He ran an entire almost industry. He talked to everybody. You couldn't. Here's the thing: is that if you told me right now, 10 years from now, we would no longer have a president in our government, I wouldn't believe you because it's impossible to me to think that. Like right now, it's like a president has to exist at least a little bit in some form. So you're telling me 10 years from now in the future we don't have a president? I don't believe you. So you're telling me right now that 10, 20 years ago they're telling you, oh, this guy, we're gonna take him down and he's gonna go to jail. What? No, you're not. That's impossible. I could go up and say that this dude did something to me, and the cops can look into it, but he's just gonna throw him a couple $1 trillion, and then there you go, boom, boom, bada bing, you're done. He was untouchable back then. So I get the fact of like, oh yeah, there had to be a very big movement for him to get knocked down, and I obviously think it's good.
I understand that sometimes people get, that sense of intimidation from, well, this person's such a huge figure in whatnot in politics and in
that boy was a hefty figure.
Yeah, and people get, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. I just can't think of it.
I don't know.
Intimidated.
Yeah, but
there
like that's the
I'm
thing.
just retarded.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's the thing is that like everyone says like here's the thing is that with everybody they have this thing of like, oh, you have your fight or flight, but people don't talk about you froze, you freeze in that situation because you're processing the situation.
Yeah.
To figure out whether or not to fight or flight, and like of course there's got So anyway, what I was going to point out with that is that Michael Jackson was a superstar. He was untouchable. He had trillions and billions of dollars. No one could have touched him. No one could have come out and said he did, when I was a, little boy, he slept in my bed. Obviously they can come out and say that, but like, what? You're not going to get anything. He held his own baby off a balcony, and he still made millions of dollars after that. He made millions of dollars. He went to shows. He was still the king afterwards. The king can do some crazy shit, but that doesn't mean he can't be the king no more. That's the point. Is that you can have Henry the Second or Henry the Sixth or whatever. Behead, divorce, because they don't give him sons. But that doesn't mean that he can't be a king no more. That's So when I understand why someone currently in today's climate of Me Too and coming out against sexual assault, which is great. But, I understand why now they would kind of say, oh, there is something weird that happened to me in the past. But, I understand why they would, but I also don't understand, obviously, what they think they would gain from that. Publicly. Like, what? Like, why not just, oh, that happened to me, and then go to therapy and, get it, go to therapy and deal with it. Go to therapy and get, figure that part of yourself out. Deal with that trauma. I don't see the need to go to TMZ and say, well, now we didn't mean. I don't get the need. I don't get the point of that. I don't see the need in that.
Publicity. They need the attention is what it is.
Right. It's like honestly right now, what's the point of shoving his presence farther down the dirt? He's already pretty deep. I mean, he's a child predator. He had child pornography at his house in bucket tons, dude. He had so much. You can't get lower than that. So then what's the point of saying this thing? You can't get lower. Yeah. What do you gain? You don't gain anything from this. You just say, oh, he did this. Okay, here's a medal. Goodbye. No one's going to remember this chick in a year. Because, and I hate to say it because I feel for her. I feel so bad she was abused by Michael Jackson. I feel bad for every single person that was abused by Michael Jackson. But I just don't see the point of getting, like, why you would gain from that. Why you would sit there and say that too publicly. Because to me that just, I hate to say it, but it almost just sounds like a plea for like, look at me, it's like a plea for attention.
That's exactly what it is.
It's like, why in the world would you do that for no other reason? She has nothing to gain at all from this interaction, from coming out and saying this, because and it sucks and I hate it because it should be 0, but this is like case 151 in 150. you know, it's like that thing. It's like, with, of course, another person, Bill Cosby. He gets horribly sentenced for one person, and he still has like 59 more people to go. It's like, and this dude's already 8, so like 80 something. So, it's a pebble in the water. It's a pebble in the water. This dude's gonna get forever jailed. He's gonna get jailed till he died. He can't see. He's blind now. He can't even see. So it's like, there's this stuff is kind of just like,
anybody else
I don't
to say
know.
Bill Cosby
It is
hero.
a little strange.
If you can,
Shut
if
up.
you can, if
Shut
you can
up.
walk out of your court hearing, and go with
Bro,
without
he
any
is such a.
emotion, you've earned that title. You get to keep.
I mean,
that.
here's the thing: is that it kind of sucks. Is that he got away with it? I mean, in theory. I mean, obviously he's getting jailed for it now. He's getting probation for it. He's doing whatever. He's getting sentenced for it now. But he's 80-something years old. You're dead. You're done. You're dust by that point. You're broken. You're a broken man. He's not the same man he was when he was predatory for 40 long years. He's not obviously the same person. Well, I mean, obviously he's the same person, but he's not the same man there, shoving Molly in girls' rings, as he is now, where he's an 80-year-old guy who can't see 3 feet in front of his face.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not to jail him. He should be. I mean, that dude should. He's a horrible person. America's dad, whatever. Well, America's dad, drugged and raped a lot of women, but it doesn't change anything. I hate people who are sympathizing with him. It doesn't make any sense. But the thing with me is that he got away with it. He's 80. He's 80. He is 80 years old. We are. It's something so crazy to think about now, but like, we're 18 now. Think about when you're 40. That's decades. That's so long from now. He's twice that. He's done. He's done this for so long. He's got away with it. He's at the end of his life. He got it. He's gonna die in jail because in like a year. What's the point? There's nothing. There's no thing that will rectify this. Obviously, if they got him back when he was like at his prime in his 30s and 40s, I mean, boom, right there. That would have been fantastic. Would have been in jail for another 20, 30 years max. Perfect. But you got him when he was 87 years old. He is dying. He is decrepit. He is a ghoul. You can't. There's nothing you can do to make him pay for those crimes. He's done. He clocked out like 5 years ago. So you're arresting a ghost basically. So what's the point? Obviously, I would, I don't want to say what's the point, because I know the point. He's a horrible person. He should be jailed for as long as he lives. But that itself is so ridiculous. Is that he hurt so many women, and then the fact that they jailed him when he was 80. He got away with it. He got away with murder basically. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about people getting away with murder. I've been into a lot of crime shows lately, and whoo boy, there's some things that get me mad.
Like, what have you watched? What have you watched?
What have I watched?
Like, what have you been watching recently that's...
Well, it's not real crime, but True Detective.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me about that.
Top notch. You should watch that. Season 1 is literally the best 8-hour movie I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. It's perfectly written. That's if you're talking about good written shit. Like I was saying, and this is great. Remember how I said Matthew McConaughey will never not be Matthew McConaughey? I forgot he was Matthew McConaughey. I did. He became the character. Same with Woody Harrelson. They just become their character. They're real people. I forget they're actors. I do. And then, like, they're with everything that goes on, it's super interesting and super, like, boom. I gotta start watching season 3 because it just ended. So I gotta catch up on it because season 2 is dookie poop poop shit. It was horrible. It was the worst shit I've ever seen. It was bad. Obviously, I liked it. It was that's the thing, is that I enjoyed it, but I understand it's dog shit. It's not good. It's not good. but I liked it. It's weird. It's like I hated it, but I liked it at the same time because I liked the characters and stuff, but I hated the story. The story was poo poo, but the story and writing and characters of the first season is some of the best television I think I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And this is counting Breaking Bad. This is counting Daredevil. This is counting every show, man. I'm telling you.
I want to know your opinion on something. I want to know what you think they're going to do with all the cancellations to the Marvel TV shows that they've been doing. Because, I mean, they just came out with, well, not just, but recently, the last one to come is Punisher Season 2, which was a pretty good season, not going to lie. I did enjoy it more than the first one. I was upset with Jigsaw's makeup. I'll give you that. That was dookie. Big dookie. But, I mean,
Right.
other than that, I personally liked it. And then, of course, we're waiting on Jessica Jones Season 3, I think. And I was not a fan of Season 2 at all.
Of Jessica Jones? I'll be 100% honest. Right after Defenders, I really fell off. I didn't watch Season 2 of Luke Cage.
I don't think
I
anybody
didn't
watched
watch-
Luke Cage to begin with.
You wouldn't. Luke Cage Season 1 was alright because of Mahershala Ali with Cottonmouth. Fantastic. I didn't know why they didn't keep him.
Name.
Cottonmouth, no, yeah, but I get why they gave him that name. It made sense. But like, then they killed him halfway through and had him fight Luke Cage, but gray. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the whole big problem with Marvel back in the early days. Iron Man 1, he fights Iron Man, but he's big and gray. Hulk, he fights a Hulk, but he's big and gray. It's like, really? I mean, come on. You can't fall back in that. We have Loki now. We have Thanos. We can't do that now. We've moved on.
Yeah.
We're better men now.
Yeah.
So when you have and you wouldn't catch me dead watching Iron Fist
Good
season
God.
2. That whole show was just bad. But I don't blame that on the actor or the actresses or
Finn
anything like
Jones-
that. The
Finn
whole
Jones,
production.
In my opinion, he looked the part. Whether or not he got the
Yeah,
acting down
like he looked the part.
is up in the air.
Well,
but
that's the thing is that like the whole show's about martial arts and a martial arts master, and this is the funniest shit you'll ever hear in your life. They gave him 3 days before shooting, while also learning his lines, on set just to learn every move. So
you
he
kidding
couldn't
me?
add his own flair. Like with Daredevil, that whole hallway scene, that's all one shot, man. They can't. He has to improv some of that. When a dude flies through a chair and he has to go grab him, and the dude falls somewhere he's not supposed to, he's not gonna do the exact same thing and grab him on the left side when he's falling on the right. They have to improv. They have to improv at least a little bit. So, but like in that show, they couldn't at all because they had to follow it so strictly because they had such a strict shooting schedule. It was like a 5-week shoot for a 13 episode show. It's like, really? That's ridiculous. And so you can't have that. That's why that show didn't work. That show was just bad.
Yeah.
Period. Jessica Jones season 1 was good.
Oh yeah, I loved
Um,
Jessica
and
Jones
then
season
I
one.
didn't-
That was
I-
a fantastic. Episode.
I didn't watch season. I didn't watch season 2.
You're not missing much.
Daredevil season 1 and 2, bomb.com,
Phenomenal.
great show, and then I didn't watch season. Then I didn't watch
Season
season
3 was. It was. I'm
Wasn't there
glad
season-
that they left it the way they did, and I won't spoil anything for you if you end up watching it. It was
I may.
just the character arc, the way they wrapped up.
was like
Yeah,
perfect for that
It really
single
was,
show.
because I mean you see these shows that try to live out, like we'll take The Walking Dead. You have a show.
Don't get me started.
That did very very well for the first say 5 seasons. And then
That's
okay,
stretching it.
We'll say 3. We'll say 3.
Like season 2 was bad. I see like skip season 2 and then
Yeah.
maybe you have
So
5
you
seasons.
have a number of seasons that did like relatively well, and
Right.
ratings, and you realize, hey, I'm doing pretty well with this. We could take it to a different place. That's when you lose it. It's just like you try to do something different, and sometimes different is good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but no, just no. And
Right.
I think Daredevil was one of those shows that realized, hey, this is enough. We did all that we can do.
Right. Like you
We
like
did the big baddies, and we got those villains out of the way. And they didn't try to keep it up, you know? They took it for
Right.
what it was, and they had fun with it, and they let it go. I mean, even the actor Charlie Cox, who played Matt Murdock, he said he wasn't happy to see it end, but he was, because it was the perfect ending for that show, and he understood that, and that's something that
right. Like
I
you're
respect him for.
you're literally. I know you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't watched Breaking
No, I
Bad.
haven't.
Which you need to if you want to fucking get into film at all. Anyway, because that's like the perfect crime show. But that show had 5 seasons, and you know what? It was 5 blown out of the water seasons. They were all good. Season 1 was good for what it was. Season 2 was great. Season 3 was great. Season 4 was great. Season 5 was great. And like they had the most ratings they've ever had on the ending episode. Any other show today, you have, Big Bang Bazongas, Sheldon Cooper Little or whatever, have it so where they have this thing where they have the most views that episode has ever had. They're going to continue that for 50 more seasons. Are you kidding me? They're never going to stop. They want their money. But it's Breaking Bad is so apart from other shows lately, and same with Daredevil, is that they know
When to cut
that
it, they
if
know
they
when enough is
right.
enough.
They beat the horse exactly to when it dies. They don't beat the dead horse. They don't let it sit there and rot. They know when to kill it and bag it up and throw it away. They know when because that's the thing, is that it's like that same thing. You can sit in a room with someone for 5 hours, and by the 5th hour you want to rip their head off. By hour 1 you're fine with them. But hour 5, 5 weeks into it or something, you're eating that person. You're eating that person because you just hate them so much. You just get tired of people. You just get tired. Humans just get tired of things. So that's when you have like that's when that whole rocker, like rock and roll saying. Is it better to burn out or fade away? Or what? It's like explode or burn out.
Mm-hmm.
Like blow up and incinerate yourself. Just explode. You're just dead. You just get really big, and then you do something so crazy that it ends your music career,
Blow up,
or you
and
die.
I
Like
don't know nobody.
Exactly. Sound like Mr. Krabs. But and then burn out. It's like those are the exact same things as like Breaking Bad exploded and burned away in like a firework display. It was beautiful. It was like you brought a tear to your eye. You're like, I'm sad to see it go, but I'm so happy I had that time with it. But then you have Walking Dead, who's extending it past the comics, who, they're going so far to the point where it's like, you're going so far to have Old Man Rick, like, they're gonna be in season 24, and Rick's just gonna be a head in a glass jar, just telling oh,
Andrew
you
Lincoln's
gotta
been the life of that show, and to take away
right.
Same. It's like how they killed off Carl. People were
Right.
so mad, and how they feel about Daryl. I remember that whole if they kill Daryl, we're not watching it anymore.
But, kill Daryl, we
but in
riot kind of
reality-
thing. It's like, really? You can't
In
expect
reality, if they
you
killed
can't
off
expect
Daryl,
him to stay around
if
the
they killed
entire
off
show.
Daryl, you would still be sucking it through a straw. You'd eat it up.
That always blew my mind. Is like I watched a couple of seasons, like, because I had a ex-girlfriend before who really loved that show, So we watched a few seasons of it. I picked up on a few seasons, the main points of it and stuff. Daryl was never this great, amazing character. He just was a dude who looked cool. He was the guy for the marketing. He's the Minions of The Walking Dead. He's the Minions of The Walking Dead because he just is plastered everywhere for the marketing, and then they have Andrew Lincoln come in for Rick and just be the main story drive, and then that's it. So there's no Daryl stopped being a story dude after like season 1. He has that little thing with that little girl or whatever, which is bizarre. And then you have they just don't know what to do with him. They're like, oh, he's here and he's amazing. Here you go. It's like they don't know what to do with him, and they don't know what to do with any of their characters.
No,
They're just like, oh my god, people don't like this character, kill him. It's so stupid. Like, you don't have those perfect moments where you kill permanently killing a character in a show is such a bold move, because there's some people who are really liking that character. Yeah. There's people who really sympathize with that character, and then you just boom, they're dead. They don't exist anymore in the show, and they can't affect the plot anymore. Well, I don't say that. They can't affect the plot because of their death, but there's such a big thing with writing is that nobody has any fucking balls. Kill the character. Like, that's one of the best things about Infinity War is that obviously you can't look me straight in the eye and tell me they're permanently dead. Spider-Man has a movie coming out. Yeah. They're not permanently dead, but it was still such a ballsy move to in a film series. They're like 20 whatever films in now, and they're so heavily marketed to kids, and have a movie where a 15-year-old kid looks into basically his adoptive father and says, "I'm scared, I'm hurting, I'm dying," and then fades to dust. That's horrible. A child can't handle that. If I was a kid seeing that, I'd be wrecked for years. Are you kidding me? I would never recover. I would feel so bad. I would be like, what? This is the first taste of depression. They're giving these kids, with Avengers 1, this first taste of, this is what a fun movie is. You guys like big monsters and shooty aliens and Iron Man and Captain America and Black Widow's ridiculously amazing ass, but then you have this new one coming out I'm going to tear your soul out, and I'm going to throw it on the ground, and I'm going to step on it until you can't breathe anymore. And you're like, okay. Alright, we're about an hour in. We should probably start winding it down. Any little anecdotes, any little kind of final, not like final remarks, but kind of last little things you want to bring up?
To go off of what you said with Infinity War and how there's obviously not all the characters are dead because they got movies coming out. But I watched it again the other day, and even then it had me sitting there thinking, wow, they're gone. They're not coming back. And then after
you really think they're gone because it's so powerful.
I'm just I watched the trailer 5 dozen times for Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm not what was I thinking? But that's just how good that series is. They make you believe.
Right, because right when that happened back in May of 2018, right, or April actually, right when that happened, there was there was people for diehard fans like us. We knew the projections for the movies. We knew there was another Spider-Man, but we didn't see it yet. It wasn't physical. So when that happened, that was it. That's the most we've got to that point. So we were like, they're dead now. What are we gonna do? They're dead. What is left to do now? They're gone. And that is such a like I was saying, it's such a ballsy move. It's such a they'll cook you dinner, but they'll throw it on the ground in the dust and say, "Eat it, pussy." You're like, oh.
It's
Thank you for the food. I appreciate it. But now I got sand in my mouth.
yeah. It's crazy. It's a. I don't even know.
I know.
It's
That-
fantastic.
Yeah, right. Like, people can say whatever they want about how super movies are stupid and schlocky, but like, you can't get like it's nothing like that has ever happened before. You have a 20-part movie series. Like, nothing like that has happened since like Frankenstein back in with MGM back at like 1900, where they had like 50 Frankenstein movies just because they just filmed every vaudeville that he did. So that's the only reason. Like, they didn't plan for that. So like, when you have these movies that have been going on since 2008 consistently, like, I get why people feel that oversaturation. I get why people feel that, because you have DC, you have Marvel, you have everybody's coming out with their own superhero crap. You have every TV, you have Hulu, you got HBO, everyone's coming out with superhero crap. It's the big superhero boom. I think people will remember this period of time, in the 2010s. They will remember this period in film, like how you remember, back in the 50s it was body horror. It was Dracula and the Blob, and you remember those good schlocky horror movies that everybody loved back then. And then you remember the 80s for their slasher movies, and you remember the 90s for their, like romantic comedies, like a ton of shit like that. People remember 2010 to 2020 for their superhero boom. It was the biggest thing. I don't think we'll see anything really past it. It'll be completely different. Like 2020 onward, it'll be insane. It won't be recognizable from 2008. Because I remember seeing Iron Man in 2008, and I was thinking, what is Iron Man? I don't remember. I know Spider-Man. I know Hulk. What's Iron Man? I never knew what Iron Man was. And then I saw a Hulk movie come out, and I was like, oh. And then like, that was kind of weird. And then the Captain America movie came out, and then Avengers. They're all gonna be in the same movie? Like, obviously people, like, I remember watching at the very end of The Incredible Hulk, that scene with Tony Stark, and not understanding it. Like, being like, what is this?
Scene that.
Well, no, the first one was in the actual Iron Man with Nick Fury.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the first post-credit scene to ever tie it. That was the first tie.
Right, but that first one that tied me up with, I saw him, and I'm like, wait, is that the same dude from the movie? Because it was like they were just two separate movies. Like, what is that? And then now they're in like they're showing up in Doctor Strange and Thor. It's like, whoa. This is Bizarro land compared to 2008. It's like, that is insane. And like, you hear about, Kevin Feige or some Marvel exec talk about, oh yeah, we were thinking about starting with Ant-Man. It's like, that would never work.
They did it perfect.
That would never work. You had to have the biggest star power with RDJ to even get that thing walking. You had to get, before you even had that thing soaring like it is now. Like, they're making, like, and to think before then, in the early 2000s, that Marvel was dead broke is so funny. It's such a crazy success story. But anyway, it's getting pretty late, big guy. Sun's going down. There it is. I haven't watched Age of Ultron since it came out, since it's Age of Ultron. Anyway,
that about wraps it up.
So, about wraps it up. Yeah, we were kind of thinking about going for just about 10 minutes.
We
ended up
thought about
for an
going
hour.
for 30 minutes, and we're on an hour and 5. So
yeah. First we were thinking 10 minutes, then went to 30, and then it went to an hour. Now we're gonna talk for the next 4 hours. So anyway, is there anything you want to plug, Rico? I got my Twitter up. I think.
I'll plug my Twitter. I'll plug my Instagram.
All right. I'll go. I'll put them in the description too, because we'll probably upload this. I mean, it was in there. My Uber Eats.
Feel free.
All right. Anyway, if you want to go follow me at Twitter, it's at HunterLK16, capital H, capital L, capital K. It's Void spaced out. That's my name, and then my icon is a stop sign. There you go. And then Rico, go ahead.
I gotta get mine up.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man.
I got it.
Come on, fool.
It's pretty simple. It's just at me home slice at no. I'm kidding. It's just at Rico Miranda 134. Go ahead. I mean, I'm pretty much as opinionated as I am on this, so that's how that's gonna go.
Yeah, you get real
I do
racist
not.
on there.
I
It's
do
kind of
not.
strange, you know. Well, you wouldn't expect it.
No, not at all.
I mean, hey man, you're gonna have to go just check out his Twitter to see for yourself. You're welcome.
Thank you for that
You're welcome.
shameless plug right there.
All right. Anyway, yeah, you're no problem, man. No problem. You know, yeah. If you want to go check out my Twitter, I basically just post pictures equally amount of very extreme political leaning, and then also dogs. So you know, it's pretty cool. And also just fill in there video game waifus. Just fit that in there. Anyway, so that was this podcast thing. You know, give us. Well, I don't know what we're gonna even do with this. I don't know if we're gonna throw the whole thing up, throw it up in parts or something, throw it up in segments. We'll figure it out. And give us feedback. If you just watched this, you just found this randomly. If you only watched the first minute, give us feedback on the first minute, man. Give us. Obviously you wouldn't. Shit. How would you know if you watched the first minute if you wanted to give us feedback? This is like the last minute. Well, if you watched the last minute of this podcast, give us feedback. We want to know what the hell you want us to talk about. Obviously, this is super freeform. This is us just sitting down saying, want to record a podcast for shits and giggles, and we're like, yeah, sure.
But I mean,
so,
speaking
yeah,
for
that was
me,
this.
I enjoyed it. I like talking.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun talking. Definitely we will have to have a little bit more structure. This is very freeform. This is very just off the cuff, brain farting. This was basically just sitting with us in our Discord call for an hour. That's basically what this was.
We do anyway, but
so
we just decided to record it this time.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
So.
All right, Rico, you want to go play some Minecraft?
You can't put that in there. You can't.
I'm putting it in, and nobody can stop me!